everybody. Welcome to another episode of Ask Jade. Today, I'm going to go over laws regarding children online. Specifically, this is going to cover what people know as COPPA, which is the Children's Online Privacy and Protection Act. So this is the federal law that deals with how websites, apps, and any other online operators that collect data and personal information from kids under the age of 13. So COPPA has a number of requirements, but some key ones are that all tech companies that make apps, websites, if you have website, online tools, anything like that for kids under age 13, that you must provide notice and get parental consent before collecting information from kids. You must have a clear and comprehensive privacy policy, and you must keep that information that you collect from any child under 13 confidential and secure. So, is your online business compliant? First thing you have to do is determine whether your company or your website is one that actually collects personal information from kids under age 13, right? So that's step one, because this doesn't apply to everybody. So if your website or online service is directed to children under 13 and you collect personal information from them, this applies to you. Or if your website or online service is directed to a general audience, but you have actual knowledge, I'll say it twice, that you collect personal information from children under 13, this applies to you. So what the Federal Trade Commission is looking at, they look at a variety of factors when it comes to directed to children under 13. So whether this is going to apply to you, they look at the subject matter of your website or your service, the visual and audio content on your website, if you're using animated characters or child-oriented activities and incentives on your site, the presence of child celebrities or other celebrities that appeal to kids on your site. So those are some of the factors. A reminder, personal information, what is that? That is a full name, that's an address, that's an email, that's a social security number, of course, among other things. So if you're collecting any of that information from children under age 13, what does it mean to collect? Under COPPA, they consider you collecting if you request, prompt, or encourage the submission of information, even if it's optional. If you let information be publicly available, for example, you have like a chat feature or a posting function on your website, and unless you take reasonable measures to delete all of that information before they go public, that means you're collecting. And then even if you're passively tracking a child online, that is considered collecting. So if any of this applies to you, you must post a privacy policy that complies with COPPA. So it needs to be clear on the information that you're collecting, very, very clear. You have to describe it. You need to have a notice describing not only your practices, but also the practices of any others collecting information on your site or service. For example, plugins or ad networks. So include a link to your privacy policy right on your front page. Have it, be very obvious so people can click it and find it easily. And make sure in your privacy policy, you list all of your operators collecting information, a description of the information you're collecting and how it's used, and a description of parental rights. So in addition, if this applies to you, you have to notify parents directly. You have to provide direct notice to parents of your information practices. And before collecting, you have to get a parent's verifiable consent. How do you get that? COPPA leaves it up to you. So some methods are actual signed consent form that you send to a parent one way or another, have them send it back to you, or even the use of a credit card or other online payment system that provides notification to the account holder and that the account holder is a parent or guardian. Set up a toll-free number that is staffed by trained personnel for them to call and give consent. I mean, there's a wide variety of different ways, but you have to give verifiable consent if you are collecting information on children under age 13. And you have to continue to honor a parent's ongoing rights with respect to the information of their child. So if a parent asks for you to give them the information you're collecting, you have to give it to them. But parents, they can later revoke the consent that they provided. or ask you to delete their child's information. So this is kind of an ongoing obligation. But it's actually a bit more detailed than this, but we only have a little bit of time today. So I'm going to include a link underneath this video for you to go to the FTC's website. And if this is something that applies to you, you can get a more in-depth explanation of how this applies and what your requirements are. But you at least have an overview today of whether you need to be compliant with COPPA or not. And as always, feel free to reach out to the Law Office of Jade Carpenter if you have any other questions. See you next time.